Under the bright swelling lights of a sport that never stops searching for its next unstoppable force, there comes a point in every undefeated fighter's rise when people stop asking how good she is, and instead begin whispering something far more dangerous. Can anyone actually stop her? For Dakota Ditcheva, the PFL's cold-blooded phenom with 13 wins and 13 warnings attached to every opponent who dared step across from her, that moment has arrived like a pressure wave. She hasn't just been winning. She's been dismantling, dissecting, devouring the women placed in front of her with a precision so cruel it feels engineered. But domination always leads to an inevitable test, a real one, a name forged in a different era of violence. And in this case, that name is Liz "Gorilla" Carmouche. Before the MMA world began calling Dakota the future, she was already becoming one of the most feared young strikers in the UK. Tall, unnervingly calm, and armed with the kind of stillness that only the most dangerous fighters ever possess, she moved like someone who knew exactly what she was capable of unleashing at any moment. Her rise was built on finishes, cold, clean, highlight reel executions that promoters drooled over and opponents tried desperately to avoid. Her teeth to the gut felt like getting hit with a steel bar. Her right hand snapped heads back with sniper-level accuracy. Her front kicks, long and stabbing and merciless, shut off fighters as if she were flipping a power switch. When she demolished Gina Bishop, the entire PFL felt the shockwave. The knee to the liver, the casual gesture telling Bishop to stand, the concussive right hand that ended everything. Dakota walked away with the same cold, effortless confidence she carried from a moment she stepped into the cage. That, everyone thought, was who she would always be, the destroyer, the untouchable prodigy, the woman no one would be able to solve. But Liz Carmouche is different. To understand why this is Dakota's toughest test yet, you have to understand what Dakota hasn't faced before, someone who simply refuses to break. While Dakota built her name on speed, precision, and surgical violence, Liz Carmouche built hers on durability, grit, and survival. Nothing was handed to her. Nothing was softened. She fought her way through a generation of killers. She fought Ronda Rousey when women's MMA was still fighting for legitimacy. She carried a body hardened by military training, her mind shaped by Iraq and Afghanistan, by discipline and danger and stress that rewired her ability to stay calm under pressure. She talks openly about fighting friends, women she trained with, laughed with, respected, and how once the cage door closes, something cold takes over. Her kicks chew apart legs. Her clinch drains the will to fight. Her submissions strike like a trap snapping shut. And once she finds a weakness, she returns to it like she's cutting through wire. That duality, compassion outside the cage, cruelty inside it, is what makes her violent in ways youth can't manufacture. Even at nearly 40 years old, she has continued finishing opponents half her age, proving that toughness and experience aren't erasable traits. If anything, they sharpen with time. Then came her run through the PFL tournament, a run that lit the fuse toward Dakota. Liz Carmouche wasn't supposed to be the story of 2025. The tournament was designed to showcase the new generation, but Carmouche tore up the script immediately. Her quarterfinal fight lasted just 85 seconds. No warming up, no hesitation, just a veteran charging forward with controlled fury, landing one perfect angle and one heavy shot that shut everything down. No rust, no age, just efficiency. Then she met Laura Dana in the semifinal, an undefeated pressure fighter with 8 wins and 5 violent finishes. Dana didn't just beat opponents, she broke them emotionally. She walked them down and drowned them under volume. But Carmouche didn't flinch. From the opening bell, she hammered Dana with blistering combinations and brutal low kicks that echoed through the arena. When Dana tried to wrestle, Carmouche lifted her and slammed her to the canvas with force that made the audience gasp. Not a beautiful takedown, a violent statement. But Dana kept coming, bleeding, swelling, absorbing damage, swinging with desperation. Carmouche sliced her with elbows, drained her in the clinch, battered her with counters. Still Dana refused to fold. So Carmouche dragged her against the fence and made the fight ugly, grinding out the hope that kept Dana upright. By the final horn, both women were exhausted and battered, but the lesson was clear. Experience had beaten youth. And Carmouche had punched her ticket into the final. Meanwhile, Dakota had already dismantled Bishop without resistance, creating the contrast that ignited the matchup everyone suddenly needed to see. Because in MMA, the same victory can tell entirely different stories depending on who earned it. When Carmouche beat Bishop, it was tactical, methodical, calculated. When Dakota beat her, it looked like a mismatch from the opening seconds. Bishop, confident, skilled, tough, tried to take Dakota down. Dakota shut her down instantly, untangling every attempt like she had built a map to Bishop's choices before the fight ever started. Then came the knees that crushed Bishop's ribs, the stabbing strikes that folded her posture, and finally the cold gesture telling her to get up before Dakota sealed the finish with a single, devastating right hand. It wasn't a fight, it was an execution. And then came the comparison no one can avoid, Taila Santos. Santos is the type of fighter who exposes weakness. She nearly dethroned Valentina Shevchenko, something almost no one else can claim. Both Carmouche and Dakota fought her, but the difference was night and day. Against Carmouche, Santos was physically dominant. She took Liz's back, controlled her wrists, shut down every escape with veteran precision. Carmouche survived, but survival was all she managed. Santos left with a clear, uncontested decision. Dakota, however, didn't survive Santos. She destroyed her. From the opening seconds, Dakota marched forward with long kicks snapping into Santos's body and head. Every entry was punished instantly. Every clinch attempt met a knee or elbow. And just when a round seemed to be settling, Dakota unleashed a spinning elbow that seemed to come from the ceiling, detonating on impact and forcing a stoppage moments later. It was violent. It was clinical. It was the kind of finish that makes the sport collectively inhale. And suddenly the question appeared. If Santos controlled Carmouche and Dakota steamrolled Santos, what happens when Carmouche and Dakota finally meet? On paper, Dakota should win. She's younger, longer, sharper, cleaner in her striking. Her timing borders on supernatural. Her reach is a nightmare. Her precision ends fights before opponents realize they've made a mistake. But the cage is a place where paper predictions go to die. Carmouche brings something Dakota has never faced. Relentless, suffocating pressure from someone who will not panic, will not freeze, and will not crumble when hit clean. Dakota has never been hurt. Carmouche has been hurt countless times and still won. Dakota has never been dragged into deep waters. Carmouche practically lives there. Dakota dominates when she controls distance. Carmouche is a master at breaking that distance and dragging fights into chaos. This isn't just a matchup. It's a question of transformation. Can Dakota stay composed when Carmouche pushes her into the fence and tries to drown her? Can she maintain the precision that has always protected her? Can she stop a fighter who has spent an entire career defeating strikers exactly like her? If Dakota wins, she becomes more than a rising star. She becomes a confirmed champion, a generational talent, a woman who didn't just destroy prospects, she conquered a pioneer forged in fire. If she loses, it's the start of the evolution every great fighter eventually faces. The moment adversity carves them into something even more dangerous. It happened to Shevchenko, to Rousey, to Nunes. It happens to everyone. For Carmouche, this fight is legacy. A chance to silence talk of age, to prove experience doesn't fade, it calcifies. A chance to stop the future in its tracks and reclaim the present. Two timelines, one crossroads, a fight that will decide which chapter MMA remembers. As always, let me know who you think walks out victorious. Does youth overwhelm war, or does war refuse to fall? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation. This is the kind of matchup that reshapes everything.